What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. We have an amazing video for everyone today. We have some crazy inflation data to cover in today's video. We had some of the highest inflation readings since 1981. We're also going to be covering some important stocks to watch for the rest of this week and some important things to know. Before we get into it, let us know what stocks you are watching in the comments down below. A lot of the stocks you guys comment, we end up covering. So consider commenting down below. Besides that, Tom, let's get right into it.
Yeah, Mike, the market rose up this morning as consumer prices came in right around the expectation. So consumer prices rose 8.5%, just slightly above the 8.4% expectation set by Dow. Like you said, Mike, the highest level since 1981. So the inflation is definitely starting to spiral out of control. And core inflation, which excludes food and energy, increased 6.5% on a 12-month basis, right in line with the expectation. So it didn't really wow investors today, and the market was actually kind of popping up early in the morning. The SPY was kind of holding that 438 support, and we actually had a nice move at market open all the way almost up to 446 there. We did touch 45.75, and then, like you said, in the middle of the day, the market gave all of these gains back and even made a new low there compared to pre-market. So I'm definitely going to keep my eye on the SPY tomorrow, Mike. This is a big deal, but going back to this inflation data, man, the market was up a lot this morning, and I was surprised to see it give those gains back.
Yeah, very true. So, obviously an 8.5% CPI reading is not good, right? But the thing is the market was kind of bracing for impact before the report even came out. As we saw and covered in yesterday's video, the White House was like, hey, inflation's going to be bad tomorrow. And the market kind of was able to price that in. And so when the report actually came out this morning, it wasn't as terrible as everyone was expecting. And the market liked it in the morning, but it ended up turning over later in the day.
Yeah, that turnover was pretty drastic, Mike. And I'll tell you what, a lot of stocks gave their gains back too. Like early in the morning, a lot of growth plays were starting to pop off. Like DraftKings was doing very well early in the morning and then ended up closing down 2.7%. Stocks like Facebook were exploding and started breaking back below some key supports there at the end of the day. Same thing with even the SPY, the QQQ, just everything seemed like it was turning over. Even some of the airlines, Mike, started turning over. They did end up coming back a little bit, but man, like the whole market gave a lot of their gains back. And even the stocks that were green, like CrowdStrike, could have closed up a lot higher if they would have closed up above like 230 or at 235 by those highs.
True that. So, Tom, we are set for a pretty interesting rest of the week. We have some big and crazy things going on in China, and we have a couple big earnings plays too. So, fill us in. What's on the schedule?
Yeah, definitely, Mike. So, airfare actually surged 20% in March here as inflation hit vacations, according to the CNBC article. And this is going to be huge because we have Delta Airline reporting earnings tomorrow. And who knows, Mike, we might actually see a nice pop out of Delta if they do report some good numbers. Apparently, overall airfare bookings rose 12% in March, and online spending airfare rose 28%. But either way, Mike, this is pretty big data. According to CNBC, this data is coming from Adobe, so keep that in mind. But man, I mean, it looks like the main thing fueling this is the jet fuel prices going up, and obviously inflation is spiraling out of control in general. But it's pretty cool to see that the bookings are starting to rise, Mike. I feel like that means people are starting to maybe get back out more. I know that there was a big slowdown with COVID, so I feel like this is starting to maybe I feel like more people might be going on vacation this summer.
For sure. So that combination of more people taking vacations and then, unfortunately, the giant increase in fuel prices has a pretty tough impact on just airfare overall. So keep that on just keep that in mind when looking at some of these airline stocks like Delta, because Tom just said they are reporting earnings this week.
Yeah, that's going to be big. Delta and a lot of these airlines are probably going to make some pretty big moves here tomorrow. So definitely keep them on the radar. Hopefully it does end up moving up because like we can see, airlines have been really exploding this week. So it looks like the recovery is going well, Mike. And man, I'm really glad Delta's not down there around $30 anymore. whenever that would happen a couple weeks ago, that was starting to scare me. But we also have big banks reporting soon, Mike. JP Morgan reports tomorrow morning also, as we can see on the chart here. And then the next day, we're going to have Wells Fargo, Goldman, and Citi. So this is going to be a big event tomorrow with JP Morgan, especially because the Feds have been talking about raising rates. So I just cannot wait for their outlook, Mike, because I feel like that's going to be a pretty big thing right now, because obviously over the next few months, as the Fed starts to raise rates, that will affect banks in a big way.
Yep, no doubt. And then, Tom, I also know we have some crazy news going on over in China. So what's going on there?
Yeah, China, this is some pretty bad news, Mike. It seems like we see some unfortunate stuff come out of China every once in a while, but the US State Department ordered all government staff in Shanghai to leave as COVID is surging. And, I read through this article, Mike, and I don't really like what I'm hearing. They're saying, in quotes here, do not travel to PRC's Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, the Shanghai municipality, due to COVID-19 related restrictions, including the risk of parents and children being separated. That sounds pretty bad, Mike. Like if they're separating parents and children, and maybe you're someone traveling in China, you don't really know much about the place or anything like that, and you're getting separated, it would definitely make for some bad things. But either way, it seems like COVID is surging over there. And this does worry me a little bit because, of course, if it's surging there, who knows? Something might happen where it starts surging here again or something like that. Looks like they issued a travel advisory on April 8th. So, this is definitely starting to heat up a little bit.
No doubt about that. So interesting news there. Tom, looking at the market overall today, it was pretty whack, like a lot of stocks popped up early in the day. And then as the day went on, there was a lot of selling pressure. And this was kind of the story of most stocks today. So it was kind of a crazy day. What are some of your favorite stocks or most important setups that you're watching for the rest of the week?
Yeah, so one thing I'm really keeping my eye on right now is crude oil. Like we can see that slash CL is all the way back up to $100 a barrel. And yesterday, Mike, I remember talking about how I was surprised how low it was, but today it came roaring back to life and crude is all the way back up to 100. And with this going up, we had Oxy actually up today 2%. ZOM was also up 2%. And these stocks could have closed up a lot higher if the market wouldn't have sold off at the end of the day. So looking at these stocks, I think there's definitely some volatility coming back into these. And I know, Mike, we also talked about gold yesterday, and gold did very well today, flying all the way up to 184 on GLD, actually 184.64 at the high. But either way, this one was really flying. So I'm definitely going to keep the commodities on the radar too, just because obviously the inflation's starting to get out of control, and both gold and oil flew up today. So I think that's pretty big, and we might see a continuation with this throughout the week. But either way, like you said, the market was really whacked today, and a lot of stocks sold off at the end of the day. So I think we're going to have to kind of keep our eyes on the SPY and see what happens tomorrow, because if we see the SPY start flying down, I feel like it's going to drag a lot of stocks down with it.
Interesting. So looking at the SPY, what are the main support and resistance levels?
Yeah, so SPY at the end of the day actually fell right through support at 438 and then started kind of coming back up and retesting it. We can see in pre-market 438 was a pretty big level. So looking at the SPY here, I would say if SPY falls through 436 tomorrow, we might have to be pretty worried. We did get down to 436.65, so I think that's going to be a pretty big support. I will say I think 444 to 446 are going to be some major resistances, kind of like what we saw today. The SPY was bouncing all over the place between 444 and 446. So definitely keep these levels in mind. I think 440 might be a bit of resistance as well if we see it start to play off of that. But there's definitely a lot of big levels, Mike. Like you said, the SPY was all over the place.
All right, there we go. So with that being said, I want to give a giant shout out to our member of the day, Keep Learning. Huge shout out to Keep Learning in the Discord. Thank you so much for being an amazing member of the Stocked Up Discord. Tom and I really appreciate you. So again, huge shout out to Keep Learning. But Tom, let's get right into these momentum plays for tomorrow. With the first one, we have SE to the downside.
Yeah, C limited here. Go ahead and make them break below 108 even here. They pretty much double bottomed here the past couple days.
With the next one, we have CHGG to the downside.
Yeah, Chegg. Go ahead and make them break below $32 even. And Mike, Chegg was down 8%. That's a pretty bad day.
Oh yeah. And then with the last one, we have SPCE to the upside.
Yeah, these space stocks actually did pretty well today. If SPCE can break above $9.23, I'll be looking at this one for some calls or a nice day trade.
All right, so we're watching SPCE for a potential day trade to the upside tomorrow, only if it breaks above the level Tom listed. And we are watching CHGG and SE for potential day trades to the downside tomorrow, only if they break below the levels Tom listed. But I just want to say, if you guys are new to the channel, definitely consider subscribing. We post brand new videos every single day, and we're always adding new things to the channel. So if you like today's video, make sure to subscribe. While we're talking about all of these earnings and upcoming events, let's definitely showcase that new stock analysis dashboard update. The stock analysis dashboard had a giant update. You can see basically everything you can imagine in terms of fundamental analysis. You can see the most important data points. You can compare any two stocks against each other, and it's an amazing tool, especially for earnings season. We can even see Delta versus Southwest compared chart by chart. You can see how correlated they are and everything like that. So definitely check out that first link in the description down below. The dashboard just got a giant update. Besides that, Tom, do you have any final thoughts or anything like that before we end today's video?
Yeah, I hope some of these earnings tomorrow go better, especially for the airlines. Like we talked about, Delta, they're actually on a pretty good uptrend here, and they held up pretty well today, especially with the market selling off at the end. So I think there might be a lot of optimism here, especially with that article coming out on CNBC. So I'm going to really have my eyes on these airlines. I think Boeing might be another one to watch, Mike. They were really retesting that resistance today, and I think it had a pretty good chance to pop. So I think we might see a breakout above this one tomorrow, especially if Delta does good. So I really like a lot of these airline setups. At the same time, a lot of tech plays started really breaking lows here. AMD, as we know, has fallen below $100 a share, and it just continues to sell off here all the way down to 95. I know we've been talking about this for a few days, Mike, but $100 is a huge level here. We could not break above it this morning, and these tech plays are continuing to go down. So I'm definitely going to look at some of these other plays to the downside. Even though I do like plays like airlines up, it seems like the overall market is starting to point down here.
Sounds good. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Don't forget, if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. We post brand new videos every single day, and let's have a great end to the week.